Hello and welcome to Win Over Depression. I am your host, Tamara Trotter, and today is Friday. Stay tuned for another episode. We will be talking about my ebook entitled A Series in Overcoming Depression from Darkness into the Marvelous Light. Stay tuned. Chapter 1, Understanding Someone Living with Depression. Depression is a debilitating disease that millions of sufferers fight to overcome on a daily basis. In From Darkness into the Marvelous Light, I will share the years of my personal experience living and coping with depression. I will be transparent in an effort to help you, the listener, who may suffer from depression, and the one trying to better understand their loved one. I will discuss my good, bad, and ugly days, but most importantly, how I fight to conquer depression every single day. There are far too many people committing suicide, and in many cases, their family was not aware they were depressed, let alone suicidal. The fact is, depression affects 1 in 4 women and 1 in 10 men around the world. However, this statistic is very old, and I believe that the number has increased. Depression is a merciless disease that adversely impacts families, communities, and society as a whole. It really takes a paradigm shift and mindset change to stay ahead of depression. The keys are acceptance and education. Learn all you can about this disease and what you must do to fight it. Once you have accepted and acknowledged your condition, you are well on your way to managing your symptoms and improving your quality of life. It is also crucial that you realize that depression has an ebb and flow. So you should find out what makes your mood swing. Once you have learned what causes your mood to swing, you can strategize to prevent a complete downward spiral that is often followed by a severe episode of depression. It will be extremely hard to reach acceptance of your condition, especially if you are strong-willed and you are used to having control over your life, because depression leaves you feeling hopeless. I felt the same way, and I struggled literally for years trying to get better on my own. My life was passing me by, and I always made excuses for not showing up to hang out with friends or do fun things. I used all of my energy getting up in the morning and making it to work. Once home, I felt I had succeeded for the day, so I would stay in, rest or sleep, and prepare for the next day. But once you have accepted your diagnosis, you are halfway to understanding your condition, and you will be more open to learning how to cope and overcome your circumstances. You have to be brave enough to seek help and defy the stereotype that says you are crazy. I am not crazy, and certainly you are not crazy. There is likely a chemical imbalance in your brain that affects your mood in a drastic way. I am certain that this ebook will shed light on this important topic, encouraging those who suffer from depression or any mental illness to keep going. In addition, give insight to those friends or family members who are struggling to understand what their loved one is going through. It will help your loved one better relate to your condition and enable you to make decisions that will catapult your life to the next level. I am not a mental health expert, and all of the contents of this ebook are based upon my personal experience, deep understanding, and firsthand knowledge of the effects of depression. The suggestions I make and any insight I offer are from my personal trials and tribulations, having lived with depression for most of my adult life. Depression is a disease that should be taken seriously, just like cancer, heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, alcoholism, or any other condition that requires treatment, therapy, or medication. It is essential that society begins to suppress the myth and stigma surrounding depression and mental illness. There is no more wrong with someone who suffers from depression than any other disease or adverse condition previously mentioned. Anyone is susceptible to experiencing a bout with depression. The sooner we begin to eradicate the myth suggesting depression means you are a mental case, the sooner more sufferers will feel confident enough to seek help. Depression is a silent disease because of everything associated with this diagnosis. However, I am living proof that with proper treatment, diet, and exercise, you can lead a normal life and you can thrive. But remember, everyone has situations and circumstances that come into our lives, but we have to be able to come up with coping mechanisms that will help us get through it. There are several points that need to be understood about the mind of a depressed individual. Someone who is depressed has a magnified sense of their surroundings because their inner thoughts are constantly feeding them information that is more than likely not true. Thoughts such as, I think they are talking about me, or I do not believe he is telling me the truth, or my family and friends are better off without me. A depressed mind may take comments out of context or way out of proportion. In addition, the depressed mind most of the time feels like doing absolutely nothing, and everything seems overwhelming. The depressed mind is fragmented and plagued most days with rising to the occasion. Most individuals who suffer from depression do not sleep well, and therefore, when the morning comes, they are still tired and they dread meeting the day. For this reason, they may be chronically late and appear to have an I don't care attitude. The reality is that they possess the intention to get up and be on time, but their mind is focused on the reasons they should stay in bed and call out sick from work. Many days they are able to press through and force the issue of getting up, but other days they stay in bed all day without eating and barely going to the bathroom. They try to suppress their feelings of sadness, but invariably the cloud of depression comes to steal their joy and plant seeds of doubt that are watered with bleakness, despair, and fear. Every day the depressed individual must somehow rise to the challenge of the day. As they lay their head down each night, they have no idea what the next day will bring. They are prayerful, hopeful, and optimistic, yet too often they are forced to mask their true feelings and smile for the world, even though they are sick with despair. They are constantly mustering up enough strength to believe that there is light at the end of the tunnel and remind themselves that giving up is never an option. Fight depression relentlessly. The fight against depression must be relentless. There must be a daily battle to avoid being consumed by a disease that feels like you are sinking in quicksand. A relentless individual exudes confidence, is not easily swayed, and possesses a determination that they will never quit. A depressed individual must fight with everything they have. Once the fight is on, they have to keep fighting, not quit, never give up, keep trying, pushing through, and most of all, keep moving forward. Above all, remain determined to avoid letting depression ruin your life. There are some individuals, however, who cannot work due to their mental health condition. So if you are wondering if living with depression is exhausting, physically and mentally, it absolutely is. Years ago, when I was not as healthy as I am now, I would have many episodes of depression and my life was miserable. And so I know that wherever you are right now, you might feel as though your life is miserable. But I guarantee you that if you work hard and become proactive, you can live a fulfilling life. Your very survival depends on it, even given that it seems to be an insurmountable battle. A major reason depression becomes overwhelming is due in large part to how the depressed individual feels about their circumstances, problems, stress, home and work life, and their ability to cope. You may not feel it right now, but everything you need to succeed lies within you. You are capable of achieving the desires of your heart, but you have to be willing to put in the work. You have the power to change your circumstances and begin anew. Reflect on what is positive in your life and change the negative feeling. Everyone has something to offer the world, and the time has come for you to claim your destiny. Please do not give up. You are closer to a breakthrough than you think. It is okay to cry because you are human, flawed, and far from perfect, but do not wallow for too long because your latter will be greater than how you feel now. I know life has not been easy, and giving up on yourself or your situation seems to be the best solution. And this is because the negative thoughts that you have heard in your mind over and over again are telling you that you will always feel this way. But do not believe it. Focus on something that brings you joy, peace, and happiness. You are much stronger than you believe. You have more courage and more wherewithal than you believe. Your coping skills are better than you think. You have more going for you than you believe. You must find a way to pull yourself up and out of the quicksand because there is someone waiting to hear your testimony to save his or her life. There is someone waiting to be encouraged by you. There is someone waiting for your triumph. There is someone waiting for your survival and success. You have the power and you are equipped with everything you need. You are the breakthrough, and there are so many people cheering for you and anticipating your success. If you start to feel sad or blue, create your own sunshine by taking note of the sunrise. Admire the clear blue sky or find the good in an impossible situation. Refuse to be negatively affected by something you have no control over. Choose to smile anyway and move on. Find value in your life. You are worthy and your presence makes a difference. You are special and no one else is you. There is purpose for your life, and it's meant for you to thrive. You are victorious and triumphant because your DNA was picked out especially for you. This concludes most of chapter 1. However, if you would like to purchase my ebook, you can go to www.winoverdepression.org, and for a small cost of $6.99, you can have it and be able to read the rest of the chapters. As always, I have some homework for you. I'd like for you to, over the next 2 weeks, write down what you will do to become more proactive in fighting your mental illness. If you are listening to this podcast and you are trying to better understand someone who suffers with a mental illness, I would like for you to share with that person how they will become more proactive in dealing with their situation. I never want to end my podcast without first thanking you so very much for listening. Remember, you can find me on Pinterest at TT Mental Health Expert. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, also called Win Over Depression. Please remember to like and subscribe to this podcast, which is available on Buzzsprout, Google Play, Apple Play, Stitcher, and many, many more. You can also find it on iHeartRadio, and you can find me on Tumblr, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram at Tamara Trotter. That's TAMERATROTTER. If you would like to support this podcast, please consider going to www.patreon.com/Tamara Trotter. As little as $5 to $10 per month will help this podcast grow immensely. Thank you so very much for listening, and I will see you next Friday. Remember, this podcast will have an episode every single Friday. So I will see you then. Stay tuned, and remember, giving up is never an option. Stay in the game of life.